Hi there, I'm Fiona Keary from Style Liberation and creator of Facebook group 35 Plus Wear to Shop. We help women 35 plus to create a wardrobe full of outfits that they absolutely love, feel fabulous in, and of course, look amazing in too. And we do that through our one-to-one face-to-face consultations, our online workshops, face-to-face workshops, and also our online program and our Superstyler membership too. Tonight, I'm going to talk about something that, is something that a lot of people go, well, sometimes they don't believe us, is what I want to say. And that's why size doesn't matter. Now, when we talk about body shape or size, often this is the face that we are greeted with, that collective groan where it's like, oh, and the reason is that many of us are really, really hard on ourselves when it comes to our bodies. And at Style Liberation, we love everybody because we celebrate bodies for being able to allow us to do the things that we are really good at and our gifts and our talents. And we think it's one of those things that, in terms of dressing and playing around with clothes and having fun with clothes, it's really about expressing your own style and your personality based on your lifestyle as well. So, what we want you to know is that it isn't actually about size at all. Size is just a number on a label, and often what we find is that it is very arbitrary and can vary quite dramatically from brand to brand. But what we want you to know is size doesn't matter because what creates a killer outfit is about balance and proportion. And when you get those right, when you create the right shapes, and I'm going to show you those 3 shapes this evening, when you create the right shapes with your body and the clothes that you put on them, then you are going to create a look that makes you feel happy and confident. And it's one where people focus on this communication zone, and we talked a lot about that during color and style personality as well. And this is where they focus. It's all about balance and proportion. Now, I know one of the big frustrations that our clients have is sizing when it comes to buying online or in store. And as I mentioned before, it can vary dramatically between different brands. So I've got a couple of tips for you just before we get started on the different shapes to create. And one is that if you are shopping in store, bring multiple sizes into the change room. And again, just be mindful of the cut of something. The reason I want you to bring in multiple items into a change room, it is so painful if you have to go back and forth to try a different sizing. But one of the things I want you to look out for is the cut in particular. And the reason I want you to look out for that is an example would be, I find for my clients in witchery, if the piece is what we call boxy and soft, so it's got a more of a billowy or floaty feel to it, then what we often find is that our clients need to go down a size or even 2. Whereas if something is a little bit more fitted to semi-fitted, it's usually true to their standard sizing. So that's just one example. Then when you do know the style or the size for that particular brand, make a note of it. Because if you do want to do some online shopping or go in again, it just saves you time to do that. Now, if you're shopping online, if you've shopped with that brand before, it gives you a little bit more of a clue or an idea as to the sizing that's going to work for you. If you haven't, and it's something that you'd really like to try, then it's all about checking out their sizing guide and being aware that sometimes we sit between 2 sizes. What I highly recommend to do there is taking the investment up front and buying the size either side of your measurements. That way, if it is a brand that you really enjoy wearing or you really love the style of, then what you can do is you've noted it, you've tested it, you've made that investment in time, i.e. having to return an item, and in terms of return postage and things like that, then you know for future purchases what you're going to be looking for. It is the same idea as well in terms of want to look at the cut, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when we look at the 3 shapes that you may want to create. So, why it's not about size? is when we get dressed, there are 3 shapes that we want to create with our body and the clothes that we put on it. And one of those shapes that we might want to create is what we call the hourglass shape. So the hourglass shape is where the bust, the shoulder line, and where we actually measure the shoulder line is actually just from the underarm. And the hip line is pretty much in a straight line. So if you imagine that's the shoulder line and there we've got the hip line, it's in line, it's in proportion. And then the waist is quite defined. So you can see I've shown an example here of like a gorgeous, this would be very similar to a review dress here. And you can see it's that silhouette where the top half and the bottom half appear the same size, but what we've done is we've cinched in the waist. Now, whether or not you opt to actually go for this silhouette will depend on 2 factors. 1, your own body shape, and 2, your style personality as well. So in terms of body shape, actually any of them, if you're an hourglass, you can create this shape. If you are a triangle body shape, you can create this shape. If you're an inverted triangle, you can as well. And if you are a rectangle or what we call a straight shape, then you can create this shape too. It doesn't mean that you have to, wear a corset or cinch it in really tight at the waist. It's about creating that illusion. It's about creating that shaping around that waist area. Now, in terms of style personalities, we find mostly it is your feminine, your sultry, and your elegance that will like to create this shape. And for some of you who are those style personalities, that is the only shape that you actually ever want to create, because for you, that's where it feels like it's home. That feels real and authentic to you. If you're a creative or a classic, you may also want to create this shape, and also if you're a dramatic too. But you will be more open to creating some of the other shapes that are out there as well. So just a reminder, hourglass shape is making the top and the bottom half appear the same size, and then it's about making sure that you emphasize or create some waist shaping there. So that is one of the shapes that you want to create with your body and the clothes that you put on it. The next shape that you might want to create is what we call the inverted triangle shape. Now, the inverted triangle shape is a shape that really came to the fore, I would say in the 80s is when it had a really big sort of burst into the scene. And that's very much with, the shoulder pads, the big hair, everything else. So the inverted triangle shape is where we make the top half of us appear wider than the bottom half of us. And it's seen as really powerful, athletic, assertive. It's a really brilliant shape to work with. So in terms of body shapes, again, every shape can create this. An hourglass, what they can do is actually streamline the bottom half, like for example, the skinny jeans that we've got there, and then really accentuate or create more volume or width on the top half. A triangle shape can do it. A rectangle shape can do it. And if you're an inverted triangle shape, you can mirror that shape too. Some of the style personalities that will really, really want to create this shape is your relaxed natural. Because you can tell, like from the image that I have there, that waterfall cardigan with the skinny pair of jeans, some flats, scarf draped. It's got that really sort of relaxed feel to it. If you are a creative or rebellious, you'll love an inverted triangle. And your dramatics are really into it as well. And sometimes your sultries too. It doesn't mean that the other style personalities won't do it. It just means that they're not necessarily as drawn to creating this shape as some of the others. And last but not least, the next shape that you might want to create is what we call the rectangle shape. So this is this sort of boxy, straight look. Think 60 shift dresses or this beautiful dress here. So it's a straight up and down shape that you might want to create. There's no waist shaping. It can be softer sort of fabrics that pool on the floor rather than crease or crumple, or it could be like this dress where it's got really sort of quite sturdy fabric to it. So it would more crumple than pool. So the trick to this one is there is only one body shape that really successfully pulls this one off, and it is the most versatile body shape, and that is the rectangle body shape, because the rectangle body shape can create the hourglass, they can create the inverted triangle, and they can also successfully create this more boxy and straight look. Some of the style personalities that really love this are dramatic, you're rebellious, you're relaxed natural, and you're creative. Your other style personalities will get into this as well, but those tend to be the ones that favour that shape most of all. So they're the 3 shapes that you want to create with your body and the clothes that you put on it. But the starting point is really understanding your own body shape. And that's where sometimes we find that a little bit tricky. And the reason we find it a little bit tricky is we are often very hard on ourselves, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video. And the reason we're hard on ourselves is because sometimes it's really difficult to look at ourselves objectively. And what we find is that many women misdiagnose what their body shape is. And then when they try to create these different shapes and looks, they get a little bit lost and it makes it a little harder to do. And then that's when the frustration actually kicks in. So, in our upcoming style transformation program, we do very much help you discover what your body shape is. And we provide you with a program where it has every dress, every jacket, every pants style, every jumper style, every coat style that is going to work for you, your body shape, and the shapes that you will want to create with your body and the clothes that you put on. It even gets into details in terms of hats, shoes, glasses, jewellery that is going to be perfect for you based on the measurements that you provide. A lot of us, just like Liesl, and Liesl is one of our style transformation graduates and now one of our Super Stylers members as well. And before she worked with us, she did often feel that she was limited in what she wanted to wear and how she wanted to express herself because of sizing and also body shape. And we really gave her the tools to see that the focus really needs to be on the shape that you want to create. When you know what shapes you're going to create, then everything else falls out of that. It makes it much easier. So that's why we want you to take a little bit of action over the next couple of days. And the action is really to be a little bit more aware or to notice. And what we'd love you to notice is that when you create outfits over the next few days, when you put on an outfit, I'd like you to notice what shape you've created. Have you created an hourglass shape? Have you created an inverted triangle shape? Have you created a rectangle shape? And when you notice an outfit feels really great and you feel really confident and comfortable in it, take a picture, note it down. And you'll start to see the combinations and things that you put together. And by noticing the shapes, you'll be able to start looking at things that maybe don't feel quite so right. And then you can go back to the top and go, right, is it that I'm not creating enough width across the shoulder line? Do I need to narrow the bottom half a little bit more? So that's the action I would love you to take. As I mentioned, the doors to the style transformation are opening very soon. We actually kick off on March 24. That's when the doors open. But we actually have a wait list that you can join right now. And if you join the wait list, you do get to join the program first. But more importantly, we do have some super duper bonuses for those who join it through the wait list as well. So if you'd like to find out more about the Style Transformation Program and how we help you work out your body shape and then the clothes that you should put on to create the 3 shapes that are going to be perfect for you, then hop on over to the styletransformationwaitlist.com. We would love to welcome you aboard there. If you've got any questions at all, please pop them in the chat. I will be online straight after this and I can answer any questions that you might have. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll be back again same time next week. Take care. Bye.